Hello, dear children. Welcome to our digital school and a very warm welcome to the English class. Children, before we start with our class, I want every one of you to be ready with your English textbook, English notebook, your pen, pencils, and just get ready for the class. So, children, quickly get set with all the things. And yes, here we begin in 3, 2, 1 and go. Yes, children, today we will do the continuation of the chapter Love That Chocolate. In the previous class, we studied about chocolate. We learned that chocolate is grown from the cacao tree. We learned some important features of the cacao tree, that it takes almost 6 months for the fruits to ripen, and it takes almost 12 to 15 years for the chocolate trees to be grown. It grows almost up to the height of 50 to 60 feet. And yes, we also learned that the fruits are mostly grown in the trunk, and this is a very important quality of this cacao tree. And we also learned that how do they harvest this beans, the chocolate beans from the trees. Like as we said over here, as you can see, that these are the chocolate beans that are there. These beans are first cut and then they are dried in the sun and then they are sent into the factory. Children, all this we have learnt in the last class. Today we will do the continuation of the chapter. Children, you can keep a pencil in your hand and you can underline the hard words. And I want every one of you to open your books to page number 35. And here we start, my dear children. Chocolate at last. Children, first I will read and then I will explain it. When chocolate beans arrive at factories, they are cleaned thoroughly. Then they are roasted in a revolving oven which cracks them. The shells are removed with the help of a current of air. Now we are left with edible pieces called nibs. These nibs contain about 54% fat called cocoa butter. They are ground between rollers which free the fat, which is of a brown color. So children, in this paragraph what we understand is, after the chocolate beans arrive at the factories, the first thing that they do is they clean it thoroughly. That means they clean it very well and they put them in an oven which revolves them, which is like a roller coaster if you want to understand it. Okay, so they are put inside an oven which rolls them, and when it is rolling inside the oven, the shells get cracked because of the current of the air inside the oven. Now what we have left with us is just the edible pieces. Edible means the pieces that can be eaten up directly, and those edible pieces are called as nibs. Now these nibs contain 54% of fat, which is called as cocoa butter, and they are brown in color. Now these fat cocoa are not just left there. They are put between rollers so that they can be made fat free. The fat is then treated in powerful presses which turn it into a hard cake. Some of the fat is allowed to squeeze out of the press. The hard cake is then crushed and sifted to have the familiar brown cocoa powder. Children, in this paragraph, what they have told is that the fat of the cocoa bean has to be pressed. They press it so that it turns into a hard cake, and sometimes it is squeezed out. What they do is they squeeze it. Like if you take something soft or something like a cotton or something, and if you press it hard, that is actually called as squeezing. So the hard cake is then they put it in a sieve. If you would have seen your mother using the when they make chapatis, for that they use something round in shape. If you can see here, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so what they do is they put it inside this sieve, which has very tiny holes in them, and when they are sieved in it, when they put it inside the sieve, what comes out from them is the brown color cocoa powder. Children, what first happens with the cocoa beans is they are put inside such a machine that is revolving. Okay, when they put inside this, the cocoa beans are just separated from the shells, and then what we get out is the cocoa nibs, as I said, which are the particles that can be eaten, and the shells are already separated. Now these nibs that we get, they put it inside a sieve, and you can see this is like a roller in which they squeeze it. If you can see, when it comes under two parts, these are the two things, two roller kinds of things, and when the coffee beans, these nibs are put inside that, they are squeezed and the brown cocoa powder is extracted, and you get the extra butter from this. That butter is pressed here, and that is what we get as the residual butter here, and then it forms into a cocoa cake. The part that is the hard cake that is left from the fat of the butter is separated, the fat part is separated, and this cocoa that is left is put inside this something that is like a revolving machine there, and they put it inside it, and the leftover part that you get is called as the cocoa powder. Next, what do we have? In the manufacture of edible chocolate, the roasted nibs are crushed, mixed with sugar and made into a paste. Dried cow milk is added to the mixture if milk chocolate has to be made. Usually, vanilla or other flavorings are also added. Machines turn this paste into thin, dry flakes. These flakes are then put in big oblong troughs. In each of these straws, a granite roller is pushed backward and forward for several days. The chocolate now becomes a fine, rich liquid. So children, what happens is the edible chocolate means a chocolate that you can eat it now. What they do is, as I said, the roasted part of the chocolate are first crushed nicely, and they are mixed with some sugar, and they make a paste out of it. Not only sugar is mixed, they also mix the dry milk. The milk powders that we get, it is not that, but it is the dry cow milk they had to make it milk chocolate. Not only that, you love varieties of chocolate flavors, correct? There are many flavors we have. So what they do is they can add either vanilla flavor or any other flavor of their choice which they want. Then they put all these thin paste that they have made into a machine, and that machine turns it into thin and dry flakes. I'll show this in the next slide where you can see the picture of it. Okay children, so these flakes, oblong means, if you can what I can say is, it is like a rectangular shape. If you can see something over here, Okay, so they have put it inside such kind of trays, okay, rectangular. This is not oblong, sorry. So it is put usually in an oblong rectangular tray, and then a granite roller is pushed backward and front, and this happens for many days, and then you get a fine and a rich chocolate liquid. You know what is this rich? Which contains large amount of fat, butter and all those things. I'll show you the picture. Can you see this, children? So this was the roller that we spoke about. Okay, so in this they mix everything, cocoa butter, sugar and the chocolate bean that we have. They also mix it with milk also. Then this is the oblong tray that we saw. This oblong tray, what they do is they put it inside this. Can you see this? This is the roller that they do. So what they do is they just crush it so well for many days, and this process is actually called as conching process. And what happens is, then this paste they put it inside an oblong container. They put it in this container. Okay, so this is the container that we have, and then what they do is they are transferred into the chocolate molds. Let's read this. This liquid is then run into polished molds where it is left to solidify. When the mold is given a gentle tap, the solid blocks come out. So after this process of making it into a rich chocolate, they are transferred into containers, and these are the molds that you can see in which they store it. And after storing in this, they leave it for some time, and then it becomes like the solid blocks of chocolate which we normally like to eat. Yes? Now this was all about how the chocolate is made. But children, do you think that we should eat too much of chocolate in our diet? Is that correct? Yes? No? Yes? No? Kids, you are confusing me a little. Decide first whether it is good or whether it is bad. Okay, yes, that's correct, my dear children. You should have everything in limited quantities. Let's read this passage first. Chocolate bars are a good source of minerals and vitamin B. They add a lot of calories to your diet. One small chocolate bar has about the same number of calories as 2 bananas or 150 grams of cheese. But chocolate, like coffee, contains caffeine, which can keep you awake when your body needs rest. So beware, don't eat too much of chocolate. Yes, children, what do we understand from this passage? Chocolate bars contain two important things. They are a good source of minerals and vitamin B. They add lots and lots of calories in your regular food. You know, a small chocolate bar has so much of calories, which is equal to 2 bananas, or if you like cheese, 150 grams of cheese. It contains such a huge amount of calories. But again, not only that, if you like to eat coffees, if you like to drink coffees, they contain in them something called as caffeine. Now this caffeine is a drug which is found in tea and coffee that just stimulates your body. When you have over intake of chocolates or like this coffee, what happens is your body loses its sleep. You won't feel sleepy. Especially at night times, if you eat it too much, you will not get sleep when you need to rest. So it is very important that you don't eat too much of chocolate. Yes, dear, you are very correct. Not only for that, if you eat too much of chocolate, there will be cavities inside your teeth. And yes, you need to go to the dentist, and then maybe you will have to keep yourself away from chocolate for a long time. Next, chocolate conquers the world. Let's read it, something interesting. When Columbus returned from his voyages to Central America in the 16th century, he brought back to Spain some cocoa beans and also the secret of a drink made by the Aztecs who lived there. The drink was made from crushed cocoa beans and water. It was known as chocolatl. The Aztecs drank it cold. They flavored it with spices and seasoned it with pepper. The Spaniards prepared their drink in a similar way but mixed it with sugar instead of pepper. They kept the secret of this drink for about 100 years. Children, we all love chocolate, isn't it? Everyone, let it be a small child, a grown-up young person, or a teenager, or even adults and even old age people. Everyone loves chocolate. But you know who has done a lot of research on this chocolate? Yes, there is a person called Columbus. So, when he was traveling to Central America in the 16th century, what he did was the cocoa beans he brought from there, he brought it to his own place, which is Spain. And he also learnt the secret of making a chocolate drink. Okay, and this drink was made by Aztecs. Yes, you know what are Aztecs? They are the important group of people who lived in ancient America. They made this drink from crushed cocoa beans and water. So what they did was they used to crush the cocoa beans and then they used to mix water in it and they made this drink. And what else they added in this drink, you know, they added some spices. Can you name some of the spices? Yes, very favorite of yours is what? Chilies and all. So what they did was they used to add some spices, and to add more taste to it, they also added little pepper in it and they named it as chocolatl. But this Columbus who learned the secret, he came back to Spain, and the people of Spain, they are called as Spaniards. What are they called as, children? Spaniards. Yes, they made a drink which was similar to the drink made by the Aztecs, that is the people living in America, the ancient America. What they did was they did not mix it with water, but they mixed it with sugar instead of using the pepper. They used spices in Aztecs, and the people of Spain used cocoa beans and pepper and sugar. They used cocoa beans and sugar. And you know, these Spain people, they kept this secret for about 100 years. Great people in keeping secrets. Yes, they kept this secret for about 100 years. Then in the 17th century, knowledge of this wonderful drink spread to France and the rest of Europe. It became a popular drink among the rich. Chocolate houses sprang up all over London and other European cities. Around 1700, that is the 1700, the English improved the drink by adding milk to it. In the beginning, chocolate was used in drinks in the form of powder only. In the middle of the 19th century, chocolate began to be made for eating and for coating sweets. In 1876, the Swiss learned how to blend milk and sugar with chocolate. Thus, they made milk chocolate, which has now conquered the world. So that is a very big history, children, how this chocolate has spread all over the world and it has conquered the whole world. One of the history among them is one of the 17th century. People started knowing that there is something called as chocolate, and this first spread from France till the European countries. It was a very popular drink among the rich people. So in London and almost in all the cities of Europe, many chocolate houses were built up. Not only that, in the 1700, these English people improved this drink by adding milk to it. This history or this invention, the research, the varieties that we do with chocolate did not just stop there. What else they did was, firstly, this chocolate was just used in the powdered form. But in the 19th century, this chocolate was made, we use it for a variety of reasons. Yes, we just mix it up with milk, we just use it for making cakes, then we use it for garnishing the sweets. Yes, so there are many uses now which we have learnt in the 19th century. One of them, a very well-known thing, was done by the Swiss people in the year 1876. What did they learn was, they did a new invention with this chocolate drink. They learned to mix this milk and sugar with chocolate, and now this milk chocolate is a very famous chocolate which has spread all over the world. Yes, you also like it now? Yes, I can see all the mouths watering very fast for chocolates. So children, we have some meanings in the lesson. Let's read it out, my dear children. The first one is edible, means fit to be eaten. Sift, put through a sieve. Oblong, rectangular. Children, kindly take your notebooks and note this down in your notebook and be little quick and be with me. Rich, containing a large amount fat or butter. Caffeine. So caffeine is a drug found in tea and coffee that stimulates the body. Yes, and it even makes you restless, means you don't get sleep. There are some more. No, we cannot stop here. We have to write more. Voyage, that is long journey by sea. Aztecs, an important race of ancient America. Seasoned, added for taste and flavor. Spaniards, people of Spain. Columbus was an Italian explorer, but it was the King of Spain who gave him all help for his voyages. So all the benefits of Columbus's discoveries came to Spain first. Sprang, developed or grew quickly and suddenly. Blend, mix different types of somethings in order to produce the desired quality. Children, you have written it? Very good, children. Now you also need to learn it up. Children, we are stopping our lesson over here. Do read this lesson once again. Yes, and don't forget all the things we have learned. What are the things we have learned today? First, we learned how this chocolate is made. Okay, how do we get the final chocolate? So first they are put in a revolving oven, and after that what happens? Yes, the shells and the edible chocolate get separated. Then they are squeezed nicely, and when they are squeezed, what comes out? The butter comes out, and then it is put inside a nice roller where you get the cocoa powder. Do we eat it up directly? No. What do? We again put it inside a nice machine, and then we mix this cocoa powder, then this sugar, then this cocoa butter, and we also add little cow milk which is dried, and then it becomes a fine paste, and then this fine paste is put inside a mold. Yes, and then they are dried up, and then what we get is the chocolate bars. Children, do you think that eating too much of chocolate is good? No. Yes, you are correct. You should not eat too much of chocolate. But what are the two important things that is there in the chocolate? The two important sources that we find in chocolate is minerals and vitamin B. Okay. Do you think any drug is also there inside this chocolate? Yes, we also have a drug that is called as caffeine. Yes, but yes, if you eat too much of this chocolate, this drug will make you sleepless. You won't get sleep. So eat it in little quantities only. Yes, who was the person who brought this cocoa beans and who kept this secret for about 100 years? Columbus was the person who brought this cocoa beans to Spain, and they kept this secret for about 100 years, and these people are called as Spaniards. Yes. What did they mix it with their drink to make it more special? They mixed sugar instead of pepper. And what did the Swiss people do? The latest discovery that they did, they learned how to blend milk and sugar in proper quantity, and now it is very well famous all around the world, that we called as milk chocolate. Children, revise the lesson very well. Watch the video once more so that you can understand it much better. Meet you soon with a new lesson, children. Till then, take care and bye, children.